What if the key to making someone truly obsessed with you lies in not needing them at all? This might sound counterintuitive, but it's a principle rooted in Stoic philosophy, dating back to thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, who famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. In today's fast-paced, emotionally charged world, the idea of mastering detachment can feel almost revolutionary. Yet, it's precisely this ability to cultivate self-control, presence, and emotional independence that creates an irresistible magnetism. When you're no longer desperate for someone's attention or approval, something fascinating happens. They start chasing you. This video dives into the Stoic principles of detachment and how they can transform not just your relationships, but the way you navigate life itself. If you're ready to unlock this powerful mindset and create connections that truly endure, let's begin this journey together. Self-mastery is the foundation of true personal magnetism. At its core, it's about developing an unshakable sense of control over your emotions, reactions, and decisions. The Stoics believed that when you're no longer swayed by external events or the opinions of others, you radiate a quiet confidence that's impossible to ignore. Think about it. When someone is constantly seeking approval or validation, it can come off as needy or insecure. But when you're grounded in your own worth, people are naturally drawn to that sense of stability. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." This isn't just about managing anger. It's a reminder that pausing before reacting gives you the power to respond with intention rather than impulse. Take something as simple as your daily routine. When you commit to habits that align with your values, whether it's exercising, meditating, or journaling, you're building a life that doesn't rely on external validation. Over time, this self-discipline shapes how others see you, as someone who's authentic, dependable, and self-assured. Here's a question to reflect on. Where in your life do you find yourself seeking approval from others? Recognizing these moments is the first step toward reclaiming your power and mastering yourself. Have you ever noticed how emotional dependence can quietly sabotage your relationships? It's a subtle trap, one where your happiness becomes tied to someone else's actions or approval. The Stoics, however, offer a different perspective. They believe that while we can't control others, we always have the power to control our own emotions and responses. Epictetus famously said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." This isn't about shutting off your feelings or becoming cold. It's about creating a healthy emotional distance that allows you to engage with others from a place of strength, not neediness. Take this common scenario. Imagine a friend cancels plans at the last minute. If you're emotionally dependent, you might spiral into feelings of rejection or frustration. But if you've practiced detachment, you can respond with understanding, recognizing that their actions are about them, not you. This shift in mindset not only preserves your peace, but also fosters healthier, more balanced interactions. So, here's something to think about. In what areas of your life do you feel emotionally dependent? Identifying these moments is the first step toward building the kind of independence that draws people in, rather than pushing them away. In a world constantly buzzing with distractions, the ability to be truly present has become a rare and valuable skill. Think about it. How often are you fully engaged in a conversation without glancing at your phone or letting your mind wander to the next task? This isn't just about mindfulness, it's a Stoic practice that can profoundly transform your connections with others. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Confine yourself to the present." At its core, this is a call to focus on what's happening right now, rather than being pulled into regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. When you bring this level of presence to your interactions, something remarkable happens. people feel heard, valued, and seen in a way that's increasingly uncommon. For instance, imagine you're having a conversation with a friend who's sharing something important. By giving them your full attention, listening without interrupting or thinking of your response, you create a space where real connection can flourish. This isn't just about being polite, it's about showing up in a way that leaves a lasting impression. So, here's a question to reflect on. How often do you find yourself distracted during conversations, and what might change if you committed to being fully present? This small shift can have a big impact not just on how others perceive you, but on the quality of your relationships overall. Is desire a source of attachment or freedom? This question lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy, especially when it comes to relationships. The Stoics didn't reject desire outright, they saw it as a natural part of being human. But they made a crucial distinction between healthy and unhealthy desires. Healthy desires align with reason and virtue, guiding us toward meaningful connections without making us dependent on outcomes. Unhealthy desires, on the other hand, are rooted in attachment and control, often leading to frustration and disappointment. Seneca put it this way: "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This insight reminds us that true wealth lies not in having everything we want, but in wanting what we already have. Take, for example, a relationship where one partner constantly seeks reassurance. This need for constant validation can stem from an unhealthy desire for control, which can create tension and imbalance. By practicing Stoic detachment, focusing on what's within your control and letting go of the rest, you can shift from craving to contentment. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, it means managing them in a way that fosters healthier, more fulfilling dynamics. So, here's something to consider. What desires are driving your actions in your relationships, and are they bringing you closer to freedom or further into attachment? Reflecting on this can help you cultivate a mindset that's rooted in balance and strength rather than neediness. There's an undeniable magnetism to someone who truly values themselves, not in an arrogant or self-centered way, but in a quiet, unshakable confidence that draws people in. This kind of self-worth is deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, which teaches that our value comes not from external achievements or validation, but from living in alignment with virtue and reason. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You don't have to turn this into something, it doesn't have to upset you." At first glance, this might seem unrelated to self-worth, but it's a powerful reminder that your worth isn't tied to how others treat you or what happens around you. It's about how you choose to respond and the principles you live by. When you cultivate this inner foundation, it naturally shapes how you interact with others. For instance, picture someone who confidently expresses their needs without fear of rejection. This isn't about being demanding, it's about knowing that your needs are valid and worth addressing. This level of self-assurance not only earns respect but also fosters healthier, more balanced relationships. So, here's a question to reflect on. How would your interactions change if you approached them from a place of unwavering self-worth? Taking the time to assess this can help you shift from seeking validation to embodying a confidence that others can't help but admire. Here's something that might surprise you. The less you cling to a relationship, the stronger it can become. This is the paradox of detachment, a concept that seems contradictory at first glance, but holds profound truth. When you stop trying to control or force a connection, you create space for it to grow naturally. Epictetus captured this idea perfectly when he said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." In the context of relationships, this means that the more you can detach from needing specific outcomes, the more freely you can engage with others. Detachment doesn't mean indifference or apathy. It's about approaching relationships with an open heart and an open hand. For instance, imagine a couple navigating a disagreement. If one partner can detach from the need to win the argument and instead focus on understanding the other's perspective, the result is often a deeper, more empathetic connection. This kind of detachment fosters trust and respect, laying the groundwork for a bond that's not just resilient but truly fulfilling. So, here's a question to ponder. How might your relationships change if you approach them with the intention to connect, not control? Reflecting on this can help you embrace the power of detachment in a way that enriches your connections rather than weakening them. In a world that's constantly shouting for attention, silence has become one of the most powerful tools we can wield. It's not just the absence of sound, it's a deliberate pause that can transform the way we communicate and connect. The Stoics understood this well, seeing silence as a form of mindfulness that allows us to listen deeply and respond with intention. Seneca once said, "The more you say, the less people remember. The fewer the words, the greater the profit." This isn't about being quiet for the sake of it. It's about creating space for understanding and clarity. Imagine a heated argument where both sides are talking over each other, each trying to prove their point. Now picture one person choosing to stay silent, not out of defeat, but to allow the other to fully express themselves. This shift can de-escalate tension and open the door to genuine resolution. Silence also has a magnetic quality. We naturally want to fill it, which is why it can be so effective in drawing others in. When you're comfortable with silence, you exude a confidence that's both calming and intriguing. Here's something to consider. How often do you use silence in your conversations, and what might change if you embraced it more intentionally? Reflecting on this can help you discover the profound impact of this simple yet powerful practice. Have you ever wondered why patience feels so difficult to practice, yet so transformative when we do? In modern relationships where instant gratification often takes priority, patience can seem like a lost art. But for the Stoics, patience wasn't just a virtue. It was a form of self-control, a way to align our actions with reason rather than impulse. Marcus Aurelius put it this way: "Bear in mind that the measure of a man is the worth of the things he cares about." What he's saying is that when we invest time and effort into something meaningful, like a relationship, patience becomes the bridge between struggle and strength. For instance, consider a couple navigating a rough patch. Instead of reacting immediately to frustration, pausing to reflect and respond thoughtfully can lead to deeper understanding and resolution. This doesn't mean ignoring problems, but rather addressing them with calm and clarity. Patience also allows space for growth, both for ourselves and the people we care about. It's the quiet acknowledgement that not everything can be solved overnight, and that's okay. Here's something to reflect on. Where in your relationships do you find it hardest to be patient, and what might change if you approach those moments with a Stoic mindset? Taking this step could be the key to building connections that are not just enduring but deeply fulfilling. Rejection is an inevitable part of life, but it doesn't have to define us. For the Stoics, rejection isn't a failure. It's an opportunity to practice resilience and detachment. They believe that external judgments and outcomes are beyond our control, but our response to them is entirely within our power. Epictetus put it succinctly: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This mindset shifts rejection from a source of pain to a catalyst for growth. Consider the story of Thomas Edison, who faced countless rejections and failures before inventing the light bulb. Instead of seeing these setbacks as defeats, he viewed them as steps toward success, a Stoic approach in action. On a personal level, imagine applying for a job and not getting it. While it's natural to feel disappointed, a Stoic would focus on what they can learn from the experience and how they can improve for the next opportunity. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means managing them in a way that empowers rather than diminishes you. So, here's something to reflect on. How do you typically respond to rejection, and how might your life change if you approached it as a chance to grow? Embracing this perspective can help you navigate life's challenges with greater strength and clarity. How often do you pause to appreciate the people in your life? Gratitude might seem like a simple practice, but its impact on relationships is profound, something the Stoics understood well. They saw gratitude not just as a fleeting emotion, but as a mindset that fosters contentment and deeper connections. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This is a powerful reminder that true wealth lies in appreciating what we already have, rather than constantly chasing what we lack. When you bring this attitude into your relationships, it shifts the dynamic. For instance, imagine taking a moment each day to acknowledge something your partner, friend, or colleague does that you're thankful for. It could be as small as a kind word or a thoughtful gesture. By expressing gratitude, you're not just making them feel valued, you're also reinforcing the positive aspects of your connection. This practice creates a cycle of appreciation that strengthens bonds over time. So, here's something to consider. What's one thing you're grateful for in your relationships today? Taking the time to reflect on this can help you cultivate a mindset that enriches both your life and the lives of those around you. Balance is the cornerstone of any healthy relationship, and this principle holds true even in Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that giving should come from a place of sincerity, not expectation. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." This isn't just about moral virtue, it's about embodying kindness and generosity without waiting for something in return. Think about it. When you give freely without the weight of expecting gratitude or reciprocity, you create a dynamic that's both authentic and uplifting. For example, imagine a friend who's going through a tough time. Offering support without anticipating anything in return not only strengthens your bond but also fosters a sense of trust and mutual respect. This balance isn't about keeping score, it's about creating a relationship where both giving and receiving flow naturally. So here's something to consider. In your own relationships, do you find yourself giving with expectations attached? Or are you able to offer support purely for the sake of kindness? Reflecting on this can help you cultivate a more balanced and fulfilling connection with others. How can conflict, often seen as a source of stress, actually become an opportunity for growth? From a Stoic perspective, disagreements aren't just challenges, they're chances to practice self-control and deepen understanding. The Stoics believed that while we can't control how others behave, we always have power over our own reactions. Epictetus put it perfectly, people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. This means that during a disagreement, our peace of mind doesn't depend on the other person's actions, but on how we choose to respond. Imagine a situation where someone criticizes you unfairly. Instead of immediately defending yourself or lashing out, you could pause, reflect, and respond with calm objectivity. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings, it means managing them in a way that aligns with reason and respect. By approaching conflict with this mindset, you not only diffuse tension but also model emotional maturity. Here's something to consider. The next time you find yourself in a disagreement, what might change if you focused on maintaining your inner calm rather than trying to win the argument? Shifting your perspective in this way can transform conflict from a source of stress into a tool for personal and relational growth. Strength and vulnerability might seem like opposites, but in Stoic philosophy, they're deeply connected. The Stoics believed that true courage isn't about hiding your emotions or putting up walls, it's about embracing your authentic self, even when it feels uncomfortable. Seneca once said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." This idea reminds us that being vulnerable, especially in relationships, requires a kind of quiet bravery. It's not about weakness, it's about showing up as you are without pretense or fear. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you create a space for genuine connection. For example, imagine confiding in a friend about a struggle you're facing. This act of openness doesn't just strengthen your bond, it also invites them to share their own experiences, fostering mutual trust and understanding. Vulnerability, when approached with intention, becomes a bridge to deeper, more meaningful relationships. So, here's something to consider. How often do you allow yourself to be truly vulnerable with the people in your life, and what might change if you did? Reflecting on this can help you unlock a level of connection that's both authentic and transformative. How much of your time do you truly dedicate to the people who matter most? In our fast-paced lives, it's easy to let moments slip by, distracted by endless to-do lists or the lure of technology. The Stoics, however, saw time as our most precious resource, one that should be spent with intention and care. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." At first glance, this might seem stark, but it's a powerful reminder of life's impermanence. By recognizing that our time is finite, we're encouraged to focus on what truly matters, building meaningful connections with those around us. This doesn't mean grand gestures or elaborate plans. It's about being fully present in the simple moments, like a heartfelt conversation or a shared laugh. When you prioritize quality time over quantity, you create a sense of depth and authenticity in your relationships. For example, imagine setting aside your phone during dinner to truly engage with your family. This small act of presence can strengthen bonds in ways that distractions never will. So, here's something to reflect on. How often do you pause and truly savor the time you spend with loved ones? By embracing the Stoic view of time, you not only enrich your relationships but also create memories that endure long after the moment has passed. Forgiveness isn't just an act of kindness toward others, it's a gift you give yourself. The Stoics understood this deeply, seeing forgiveness as a form of self-mastery that frees you from the weight of resentment. Holding on to anger or grudges, they believed, only harms the person carrying it, not the one who caused the pain. Seneca captured this idea perfectly when he said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." In other words, the stories we tell ourselves about how we've been wronged often cause more suffering than the actual event. By practicing forgiveness, you're not excusing the behavior of others. You're choosing to release the emotional burden it places on you. Consider a situation where a friend betrays your trust. It's natural to feel hurt, but holding onto that pain can poison the relationship and your own peace of mind. When you forgive, you create space for healing and even the possibility of rebuilding trust. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or pretending everything is fine. It's about reclaiming your emotional freedom. So, here's something to think about. Is there a grudge you're holding onto that's weighing you down? Reflecting on this can help you take the first step toward the kind of forgiveness that transforms not just your relationships, but your entire outlook on life. Is flattery a sign of admiration or a trap for your ego? In relationships, we often encounter praise that feels good in the moment, but the Stoics saw flattery as a subtle test of our self-awareness. They believed that while compliments might stroke our pride, they can also distract us from staying grounded in our true selves. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, put it bluntly, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone.'" This isn't about dismissing kindness or recognition. It's about maintaining a clear perspective. Imagine a coworker showering you with praise to win your favor. Instead of basking in the compliments, you can acknowledge them with gratitude but remain focused on your integrity and purpose. This approach doesn't just protect you from manipulation, it also sends a powerful message about your self-worth. Here's something to reflect on. How do you typically respond to flattery, and how might your relationships change if you approached it with stoic detachment? Taking a moment to consider this can help you navigate praise in a way that strengthens your authenticity rather than undermining it. Authenticity has a magnetic quality that draws people in, yet it's something many of us struggle to embrace fully. The Stoics saw being true to oneself as a virtue, a way to live in harmony with reason and nature. For them, authenticity wasn't about being perfect or polished, it was about being honest and aligned with your core values. Marcus Aurelius put it this way: waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. This isn't about external validation, it's about living in a way that feels right to you regardless of what others think. Cultivating authenticity starts with self-awareness, understanding your strengths, your flaws, and what truly matters to you. When you're authentic, you create a space where others feel safe to be themselves too. Imagine a situation where a friend shares something deeply personal with you. If you respond with genuine empathy and honesty rather than rehearsed advice, you're not just strengthening the bond, you're showing them that it's okay to be vulnerable. Authenticity builds trust and deepens connections in ways that superficial interactions never can. Here's something to reflect on. In what areas of your life do you feel you're holding back your true self, and what might change if you let that guard down? Taking this step could unlock a level of connection that's both meaningful and enduring.